So, as usual, every 2 weeks we join some sprint review, even if we are not doing sprints, but just kind of check in on what's going on the PMM and portal engineering side, what's already done, what's in progress, and highlight some important dates and other stuff. So for this week, we're planning to release the public version of 2.23. So far, no blockers or complaints from internal departments. So I assume everything going fine, or just haven't found anything. And as kind of recap or just highlights for everyone on some important critical bug fixes we will have in 2.23. So one of them is the fix for Grafana CV, which actually just upgrading of Grafana version. Also the SSL problem with custom certificates for PostgreSQL monitoring. And I think I would jump over those two quickly there. And also the problem we found with the PXC cluster and pulse then. That's all already fixed in 2.23 in release notes and should work fine. So if you seen something for you or for customer, that will be fixed. And there is two kind of bad and critical bug fixes already fixed, but they will go to next release 2.24, just because of the timing and how we do their release candidates and internal fixes. So they're more about the alert rules, which were stopped and not working properly after update by the Docker container, and the fired alerts also were disappeared from the UI after the restart. So all those fixes will be in 2.24. Yeah,
sorry, Roma, important mention regarding disappeared alerts after Docker restart. Well, it is not solved completely because of how VM alert works, but we reduced time. Before it takes something like 3 minutes to alerts to become visible on UI after restart, and now it's something like 1 minute. So we just reduced time, and there is nothing to do with that anymore because well, that's how a VM alert works. So that component knows nothing about restart itself. For him, it's startup for this component. So there is some states of alerts, and we just reduced time. So
yeah, thanks for the note, Artem. So I think that's also the good part we can mention in at least in documentation, saying, hey, the alerting will be fully visible after 1 minute after the server restart or upgrade, because previously 3 minutes were oh, something not working. Now it's more the part of the restart process. So I don't think we have so quick restart process. So thanks. That's kind of the important bug fixes we have already addressed for 2.23 or for future release. Any questions here? Okay, then let's go to some other features we already have in 2.23. So that's stuff we've done. I think all of the items we'll speak later will be for the 2.23. And next one is about the CV fix and Grafana, and I think Tiago.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. So basically, there was a major security issue in Grafana where we could go through, even if we're not authenticated, we could go through every snapshot of an instance of Grafana. So we could go to the snapshots URL, which goes like /dashboard/snapshot, and then the key of the snapshot, and then we could like iterate every key and see every snapshot, and we could also delete snapshots. So, and this was like a problem that was there since version 2 of Grafana, so a long time ago, and it was only found now. They did like an audit on Grafana Cloud, and they didn't found any exploits of this problem, so in Grafana Cloud. And like with that, we were forced to upgrade Grafana. We were on version 7.5.7. We're now on version 7.5.11. And with that, we got also other small fixes. For example, there was this unauthorized message displayed in sign-in page if you were there for too long. And we fixed it on our side, but now we were able to get the fix from Grafana as well. There were some minor configurations in data sources. So was only small stuff, as these were only like a couple of patch releases that we updated. So in the future, we hope that we can upgrade to Grafana 8 like as soon as possible. They still did the same fix in Grafana 8, by the way. So
just note to everyone, we're not yet on the Grafana 8, just as a reminder and disclaimer. So we need to jump there because the version 8 have a lot of new stuff. And just realize that we use the snapshots for support needs, but I think the way how we started our snapshot server, they weren't really affected by this bug because we already have limited number of queries the snapshot server can accept. So we have protected like delete and other queries on Percona snapshot server. So I think for us it was even less problem. Only for customers who were for users who use PMM and do their own snapshot locally, but not Percona snapshot server. Okay, thanks, Tiago. And the next couple of items are from Carlos.
Hello. Next item is Rome cluster representation. I'm going to show, let me share my screen. As you can see, I have Mongo cluster with several instances. I'm going to start the exporter first as against MongoOS. In another tab, I'm going to current to the exporter. The fix was this: the CL role label was incorrect and was not. It was showing shared server for almost every instance type, and now it is reported correctly. This is a primary. It is a shared server. The other one was MongoOS, and so on. I have some, I think this is a config server. Yes, config server. And I have an arbiter. Standalone should be empty. Empty. And short server, I think. Arbiter. It takes a while, but it returns short server, and this was an arbiter. If we check the port 12, 12 is the second arbiter in the cluster. That was the fix.
Thanks. And if any questions, everyone can just unmute and ask. If no, we can jump to next one about the toolkit upgrade. And eventually it's still Carlos.
Okay. Toolkit upgrade is not much to say, just upgraded to the latest version in PMM. The only important thing is that we migrated the toolkit to Go modules to make the build compatible with all other projects which are already moved to modules. I have another ticket in QA. It's a delay in the exporter's response in Mongo exporter. I'm going to share screen again because the change is easier to see. This parameter was missing in the DSN when connecting to MongoDB. In order to make it fail quickly, it's not only needed connect timeouts because the driver will try to connect to any replica set member. So we need to tell the exporter or the driver to use the timeout and the same timeout to select the server from the replica set. That was the reason of the delay in the response.
But that's still in progress,
QA.
right? So that's
QA.
not something
That's
done. Yeah. Yeah. Speaking about the toolkit upgrade, I think we weren't updating toolkit inside PMM, and we use it for showing node summary, pt MySQL, Mongo, PostgreSQL summary, and we were behind like 2 versions of I think 2 minor version of PT toolkit inside PMM. So there were some I think socket connection for PostgreSQL summary and some SSL related fixes we shipped in the toolkit. So now we expect a little bit better stability and functionality in PMM when people looking at the summary information. Okay, then let's jump to some database as a server functionality.
Right. Hello, everybody. So finally, we shipped in 2.23 database upgrades. So as you can see, I've got a cluster with this version of the database. I'm able to click update and request an update. It's single node cluster, so it will take a little while. As you can see, the cluster is still on the older version, but when I scroll up, there is already new image inside, so the update is on the way. Yeah, so
yeah, if you look at the logs at that moment, we also will see them, or it's just final stages.
Well, let me try it again. Well,
it's in its state. It's not always log available, so we need to wait.
When it starts.
all right.
No.
So PXE has started and it was successful. Yeah. And you can see the cluster is no longer upgrading, but it takes a while to cluster to get ready again. Are there any questions?
Yes, I have. Yes. As I understand, we update to the latest available version.
No, we are upgrading the direct successor of the current version. So you need to go through all the versions on the way to desired version you want to upgrade to.
Okay.
Yeah, when I click update again, I've got the next version available. When I get to the latest one, it's not possible to click the update option.
So we here consume the operator functionality for upgrade instances.
Right.
We
Yes.
using the versions from operator to manage this.
Is that a limitation on the operator side to go one version at a time, or is that something that we're?
It's a recommended way of upgrading.
Okay.
Jan, I have a question. What happens with pending requests against the database while this is being upgraded? Are they getting through, or are they blocked, suspended, postponed?
In this case, when it's single node, they are just all connections are cut off. But when you have, for example, free node cluster, the upgrade is happening one by one. So you should be able to access the cluster while upgrading, as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I would probably not be alone asking this question. So maybe it would make sense to properly document what's going on under the hood.
Yeah, this is one of the major motivation to upgrade one by one, because, well, yeah, you still have access to the cluster when you have more than one node. And also, if something happens during the process of upgrade of one of the nodes, it should be able to recover as well, and the user does not suffer like with cut out of the connections. So the thing is, all the connections that were being sent to the node is being upgraded now. They're gonna be dropped, of course. And when the application tries to reconnect, they're gonna be redirected to another nodes of the cluster. And I'm curious of major upgrades. Have you tested the major version upgrade, for example, from 5.7 to 8? I don't know if the operators already has this one.
We only support 8.
Only 8. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Starting from which 8.0 something?
Yes. Like
okay.
we have a condition in the code that doesn't let anything that is lower than 8.
8.0, or is there a specific version starting from which we're allowed to?
Like
actually,
there is like
there is a minimum supported version for the operator.
Yeah. So this
one, and that's from the operators team. Yeah, that doesn't come from us. They the day that it went GA, whatever version of MySQL 8 was out, that was the minimum supported version. We just honor their list.
Yeah.
So it's 8.0.19, right?
Yes.
That sounds
okay.
right.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So if it's all, I'll let you continue, Roma.
Yeah, thanks, Jan. And so what else? We have one more item regarding the restoring about the point-in-time recovery for MongoDB, right? And Holman, I see you on this list. Maybe someone from your team, or you?
Yeah, this one is on me. I'm not sure why, but I think it's because of the documentation. So that the documentation was the only missing bit related to this feature. Let me just quickly share the screen. So we did something with the team together with Fabio and our team. Oh, yes, let me. Yeah, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so we put together this Google Doc. This is just to draft the documentation in regard, like related to this feature. So just following some basic format, explaining what it is and providing some context and some references to PBM, and then just explaining from the end user point of view how it works. So this is just a draft. We know that we need to push this to GitHub, but first we're going to onboard a tech writer colleague from a different team, as we currently do not have one in our teams, to give us some good reviews on this. And we're going to also add some more technical details on how this works behind scenes. But yes, this is just something we did in these last two weeks. And as soon as we get to a better version of this, then we will push this to GitHub together.
Holman. Yeah, Holman, this is Kimberly. If you shoot me that link, I can do a review of that. And also I'll have Andrew Pogrovnoy also look at it, and we can help out with that.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll do so. Yeah, so this is it.
Thanks. And that was all for section when we are speaking about the finished stuff. So something which is already passed through their all our engineering pipelines. And now we will go to the section where we need even more feedback. It's about the stuff the team is working right now. It's somewhere at the end of the way or at the beginning of this tour over our processes and dashboard, but that's where feedback now can impact the feature at the end. There's still time to polish it or do some slight modification. And we usually not speaking about there's some like bug fixes in the process, but since we discovered something kind of important, I've added them here. So Nurlan, maybe you just highlight those performance problems we found with custom queries.
Yeah. Hi everybody. Can you see my screen?
Yes. Nice graphs.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So when we started using custom queries, we got the problem that it started using more memory because it produces much more metrics, and vmagent weren't able to handle them. And that's why you can see this increase in memory usage from some kind of 40 megabytes to 381 megabytes. So we had discussion with Victoria Metrics team, and they helped us with fixing this problem. And now you can see that we don't. So here you can see that we use something about 380 megabytes. But if you enable some other custom queries, it increases up to 600-700 megabytes. But right now, if you enable, so it doesn't matter how much queries, custom queries you enable, it uses some kind of 160 megabyte or so 170 megabyte. That's all.
It stopped affecting the resource usage dramatically, right?
Yeah. So from 90 megabytes to 700 megabytes, it's really visible stuff. So we also had problem with CPU increase, but to fix that, we need more complex refactoring in Postgres exporter.
And that was for the PostgreSQL exporter, and also related to some additional metrics we shown like on previous sprint review that we were planning to add more metrics table related to the PMM, and this problem when we found it, we rolled back from 223 there, the 18 additional PostgreSQL metrics. So now with this fix, we will try to make sure that everything works fine, and maybe for 224 we will finally add those PostgreSQL related metrics. And the replication lag was also one of the metric in the bucket we paused, and paused and rolled back. So just on the requested metric for PostgreSQL.
Yeah,
Any
and
questions?
one more thing that we should mention, that it happens only if you have a lot of databases and tables. So,
yeah.
Because custom queries were creating metrics for each of them.
Yeah, one problem that we have on Postgres that we don't have on MySQL and other databases. Every connection on Postgres is for a very specific database. You do not have ability to have a cross database select, right? And that's like if you have 100 database, you need 100 connections to get information for every database, and that can indeed cause a lot of stress to the database, a lot of problems to the database. I was talking with Roma the other day, so we still need to find a way how we can troubleshoot this problem. I don't see an easy way because it's a database limitation, so we cannot overcome on the database side. Like if the user has in the same instance 100 database, we have to open 100 connections either simultaneously or one by one. So we need to spend some time to figure out how we can solve this limitation by our side.
Thanks, Charlie. And the next, I think the only left is the MongoDB, the startup state. I think we weren't discussed it.
I'm currently working on it. Kind of fixed some part, but I still need to fix it for MongoOS. When the exporter is not connected or this connection to the database, the status is not being reported correctly. In some cases, it's not being reported at all. It's null, and in some cases, it shows an invalid value. It's 0 instead of 6, which is the unknown value from the Mongo documentation. So I'm working on it.
So the problem is like different cases and different types of the servers reported this the status as differently, and that's causing us on the dashboard not be able to present and give status. Even if it's like something wrong, we are not able to kind of be sure that this is wrong and tell this to users. So that's
let me share my screen for a second. This is the case. I don't know if you can see it's showing startup when it should say unknown.
Mm-hmm. So kind of.
Is that during an election? Is that what you're saying?
No, depends. For example, that it's a standalone, so there is no replica set. So it should show something different, not a startup, because there is no replica set at all. So, but the exporters get diagnostic data, which is the command we are running to get the information. It's returning a null for that. So that's why the dashboard is showing startup, because it cannot handle that value.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, now we go into their features the team is working on, and I hope a lot of them will be in next sprint review as fully done. So now we'll walk through them and see the progress there. And one of the first and one of the important is the PGStat monitor, highlighting the features we have in a plugin inside PMM.
So PGStat monitor, like team keeps adding new stuff, new data to PGStat monitor, and we are exposing it through PMM, so we can do a better monitoring of PG queries. So let's start with what we added here. First thing is, previously we could only see like 3 or 4 metric details of a PG query, and right now, as you see, there are much more details. For example, writing ahead, logging bytes, writing ahead, logging records, full page images. If you over the info icon, you have, as usually, the explanation for each metric. And we also have top query, which is showing here in the details section. So if your query was done based on another query, that query will be shown here. And if you click it, you'll be able to filter it in the list. And on the filter side, we have a new filter for application name for PG queries and command type. So for example, if you click select, you will only see selects as expected. You can see selects and inserts, and yeah. And also, besides that, we have this new tab for query plans. Right now, I don't have any in this running instance, but it should look like this. So if you have a query that has a plan, you'll have the full plan shown here. And the only thing missing from PGStat monitor that we need to add to PM Query Analytics is histograms. So under the details section, there will be a new collapse panel with a bar graph showing some information that comes from PGStat monitor. It will look much better than this, of course. This is just like a sketch for you to know like where it will be. And that's basically it. So in sum up, we have like new metrics, new details. We have top query, we have plan, and we also have new filters, application name and command type. So if you have any question, any doubt about it, please, this is the time.
Hey, this is Michael.
Yeah,
this looks like a really cool feature. I'm curious, the command type, are we going to also use that on MySQL? Are we going to port that over?
For now, it's just a label exposed by the agent. So yeah, with for MySQL and for, I don't know, is it applicable for Mongo? But yeah, for MySQL, we had this feature for a long time. Since the source for PostgreSQL is already exposing it and doing this work for us, we decided to first implement it here, and then sometime later for MySQL, we just need to add this label somewhere on the way, either on server or on agent side. But yeah,
okay,
we
so
want to have a parity, of course.
So is command type, are these are we using PGStat monitor on the internal Postgres instance? The reason I'm asking this is I wonder if this command type is just going to show up automatically. And what I'm concerned with is that it leads to confusion from people who use MySQL mostly. They're going to see this option, but the selector boxes won't apply to them because it doesn't say anything that this is a PG only feature.
It shows only if you have a PG instance with PGStat monitor.
Okay, so what about Mongo? Do you have similar for Mongo?
Right now, we don't.
Yeah, it shows only if you have Postgres and PGStat monitor, right? But like, let's say you have Postgres and MySQL, or you have 2 instances of Postgres, one with, one without. So how do you differentiate them, like the option that you have here?
You have like, though we don't, but the only thing you can use is other filters. So each database will have a service name. You can choose that service name and only filter by that. But besides that, we don't have a way to differentiate.
Okay. Yeah, so Charlie, in your case, if you have like 2 different, the second instance with like older version or with PGStat statement, for example, the command type, or for MySQL or Mongo, it will all goes to NA. So NA, this is the others.
Okay.
And Michael, you were asking like, because we monitor the PostgreSQL we have inside PMM itself, the command type will appear so anyway, because we have added internal PostgreSQL into the query analytics, and it's confusing people.
And it will use pgstat monitor, the PMM server Postgres?
It's for now, it's still use pgstat statement.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
So
I want to
in that
use
case-
this as a venue to say to this big group, I think we should not be showing the internal behavior of PMM server. I think we should mute it by default, however you need to do that. I don't know why users would care about queries running inside PMM server, what value that adds. I think it just adds confusion. There, I said it.
Valid point.
Anybody agree or disagree? Charlie, what do you think about that? Why
There
do
should
we
be
want to
probably
see?
another. There probably should be another total to troubleshoot PMM itself, right?
No, I agree with you, especially because for the newbies there, they're gonna see a bunch of information, a bunch of queries, and they might be scared. And after some while, they just realize it's not from their database, from the internals of PMM. Yeah, I totally agree that it's confusing and can cause a lot of stress, especially for support literally.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well. I mean, the main reason I found it useful on my first time installing PMM is that I already had some databases shipping data in there to look at. So it was almost like a demo more than something useful for production.
So tell me then, guys, that do you see this kind of, because our plan to kind of include the PMM monitoring inside the QAN was implement environments and then have their like system environment, which probably will be off by default. But this is kind of the approach, or we just kind of need some toggle on the UI saying show internals or internals only link, which will open the QAN with secretly passed PMM server kind of name, so people will see it.
So are you asking if we should include PMM information in this?
Yeah, is there any cases when people need to see PMM server performance and databases, or it's always separate environments and you will look at them as like separate screens and don't ever want to be mixed?
Well, most of the case, I would say you only need PMM information when you're troubleshooting PMM itself, right? So, and you usually do not need database information at that time. So for support point of view, I would say that if we have the ability to have PMM information isolated from the database information, that would be helpful to troubleshoot problems that when we have on PMM itself. So latencies and performance issues and all this kind of stuff would be much easier if you have, like, even though you have you can toggle the PMM yes or not, but what about the database information? So would be the ability to also hide the metrics from the database when you were toggling the information. Because if we're troubleshooting PMM and you have a lot of information from the database at the same time, so that's gonna make things really complicated to just troubleshoot PMM when you need to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with regard to troubleshooting PMM, separately, but definitely we need to be able to have the information that PMM and the exporters provide available, since that's the majority of the information that we're already collecting in one way or the other.
And I think there will be instances where you probably want both at once. Like we were talking to a customer a week ago, and they were running into write limitations. They were shipping too much data in too fast, and so they wanted to be able to see the data getting shipped in from their database instances and PMM at the same time. But you might still not want to expose it by default and treat it as internals.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so that's not something we can like quickly implement at before the 24 release.
That's a feature request. It's
yeah, and that's because we have several options to work with that. Just need to play. I would ask, like, so does the exposing the query command still makes sense, or it will add more confusion then? Command type.
So the question you're asking is, should we ship this feature now before we have the ability to mask internals?
Because it looks like this is the bigger concern right now with this.
Does it make it better for a user than it is today? I mean, that's the question. So what's the answer to that?
Well, from my standpoint, that's adds value. So because I expect that if there is no value for query, it will go to NA, and since this will be one of their latest filters right now.
Yeah, we don't actually show this if you don't have a PG with PGStat monitor, and by default, our internal PG database is with the PGStat statements, so this won't be shown us at all.
Yeah, because if there's only one value which is in A, we omit the filter.
Yeah.
So then I would say we need just speed up with excluding PMM server option to exclude it for user, but keep this there because for PGStat monitor users who will start using it, this still gives value.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. The other side that I see when we do these technology specific enhancements, look, I don't want to ever say don't do them. These are really good ideas. But to me, the other side is the feature parity. When this is arguably something you can do MySQL and probably in MongoDB. Why can't we release them at the same time so that all systems get command type showing up? I mean,
Agreed.
Is that a business decision, Donnie? Is that something where you're like, well, look, I'd rather get new features out quickly and do them piecemeal?
I mean,
but
the
have a story behind it.
idea behind this one to go with this process that we have this PG month, right? So we are focusing on the features for PG and doing that, right? So, I mean, we can postpone, we can put like, another thing is release it and get the user feedback earlier, right? Postponing them, accumulating a lot of features and then releasing them as a bunch is good from one perspective. From other perspective, it's like, okay, if user will not like it or they will find issue in one, you will have the problem in 3 of them or something like that. So also risk.
I'm more on the side of release early, release often. And to Dennis's point, get the feedback now, because if we spend the extra sprint or two to get this into MySQL and then also Mongo, and to Dennis's point, people come back and say, I don't like this. We now have to take 3 times as long to fix it, and we don't have a good model to apply to the other. I think the key is, and this is Michael's point, we can't abandon the other 2 technologies, which has been our history, right? The fear I think you hear in Michael's voice is we'll get this out now for Postgres and we'll never come back and do it for MySQL and Mongo. And that we can't afford to do. But I think getting it out and getting the feedback on one is the best thing we can do, and then make sure we continue to iterate on the other 2.
Yeah, I think I agree with that as well. You know, it's
and just consider, we spent a lot of time on this. We probably need to keep going, and we're not going to get through everything.
Yeah, that's only priority on for Donnie and Roma to push it to the backlog, and I have no problem to implement whatsoever. The people can do that.
Yeah, and also on that, I see that we're pushing a lot of stuff for Postgres. Of course, it's Postgres month, let's put on this way, on this quarter. We have some extensions that we are pushing for Postgres, right? So, and one of the main points of those extensions is the ability to have a better integration with PMM and the platform. So that's one of the reasons we're pushing so hard on those Postgres and extensions compatibility, let's put on this way. So the idea is to, if you don't install the extension, so you still have monitoring on PMM. So PMM still has the capability to monitor your database, your Postgres database. But if you have the extensions that you open a new possibilities of monitoring, opportunities of monitoring, a lot of more information. And so, and of course, like we should also in future migrate to other databases as when they are possible. But like, I think this is one of the main motivations why we're pushing so hard on the Postgres and for this future, for example.
Okay, then let's keep it for now and move to next item, because Steve was risking to not seeing some improvements in alerting. He definitely want to see, because for alerting, so we had some stakeholders review meeting recently, and we are going to like wrapping up and polish the alerting stuff. And in scope of this, I think Max will start showing us some improvements for alerting. We should expect.
Yeah, hello everybody. Let me just share the screen. So we made a couple of improvements to our alert messages posted in Slack, in PagerDuty, and also in the email. And let's go over all these and to see the difference, how it was before and how it is right now. So let me start with the Slack. So on the screen, you can see that the previous implementation was not super human readable, just some ideas, and I'm not sure what is going on, what the alert was. And let me show the final result. And as of now, you can see that the alert contains a really human readable error. So on the top, you can see alert, its description, and also if you need, you can click show more and also see the attached labels if you need just to investigate what was happened. Probably that's it for Slack. Also, these improvements we applied to the PagerDuty. This is how it was. So really not unreadable, completely unreadable summary, and some details which are not fully understandable. And right now you have we have current version, and yeah, you can see the nice summary, some alert and description on the top also, and details. And the same for email. So this is how it looked before and right now. And that's it.
I have one suggestion how to make it even more useful for end users, especially for support. I saw some companies also insert a link to the handbook how to handle this alert. Imagine that you have a lot of alerts, and a lot of knowledge should be in your mind how to keep with them, and especially when new people comes to team, this is a very difficult task to handle such alerts. And if you have a link to the handbook, it simplifies the process.
What do you mean by handbook?
We can attach link to Percona performance blog.
As an example, yes, but I think the company should be able to insert this link to their own documentation.
Yeah, it's called a playbook or a run book, so that
yeah.
they know exactly what to do about whatever the issue is. So, oh, run out of disk space. Here's the playbook that tells you how to poll the LVM to see what space there is and add a couple extra gigabytes, and then run the FS expand, like just those little steps. That way, you know, that they have the ability to not only know there's a problem, but then maybe a lower level employee could also resolve it. Good suggestion. I think that's just worth taking down. It's not going to happen in the MVP, but I think that's something that needs to come in time.
Yeah, thank you. We'll keep in mind that. Probably we can somehow include such links in the templates and somehow show to the users. Yeah.
Hey, Michael, again, I just wanted to ask also, in Grafana alerting, it included by default an image of the last 5 minutes or something of the metric series so that you have context. Is that something that we're planning for alert manager based alerting?
Not for MVP, but also in a scope of bigger picture for alerting. So include relevant graphs and links to graphs so people can click and go to investigate. But not in a scope of MVP for now.
Okay, not for MVP, but it might add, it'd be better to have the graph go with it, not a link to it. I want to see it. I would want to see it in Slack so I can make a decision without going to another data source. My 2 cents. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with images, it will be kind of not for everyone, because to have the images generated, I think at least because default installation, you need to install some additional components. So that's may vary, but yeah, that's where we discussed and want to go. And I think for the other questions regarding alerting. Okay, and we, I think, have one more point regarding the alerting from Artem to highlight.
Regarding templates and rules, yeah.
Breaking rules.
Yeah, this ticket is in progress, so nothing to show yet. However, we have potential problem that well, we have this direct relation between rule and template, and we actually can't control all templates. We provide feature where user can just put template file in special directory inside PMM Server, and then he will be able to create rules from this template. And he can, for example, drop a template. In that case, this rule can't be regenerated anymore, so he can't edit it anymore. And well, we will just skip this rule now and print some warning message inside in PMM logs. So well, this is a problem, and the idea just copy everything that you need from template inside rule model and reuse it over and over when you edit a rule or you regenerate files, whatever you're doing with a rule. In that case, potentially we can even change expression in predefined templates. It will not break existing rules. So every rule will keep a copy of template that was used at the moment when rule was created. So that is an idea, and yeah, it should solve the problem.
Thanks. And we have 2 more items in our agenda, not much time, so let's start with database as a service and the Kubernetes monitoring, because that's a question which everyone wants to know, and I assume Nurlan will show us some progress on that. We can see your graphs, but can't hear you. just in case.
Okay, I unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So previously, when we set up some database cluster using our database as a service, we had a problem that we were using node exporter metrics, and that's why we had wrong metrics for memory. So for this database cluster, we use a default 2 gigabytes, but as you can see, it shows 7.58 gigabytes, but it's wrong, and it was fixed in your feature build, where you can see that it's right now 2 gigabytes. So, and virtual memory is also fixed. And the second thing that was added to database as a service is dashboard for database cluster summary. You can see all information for our Kubernetes cluster, and you can see memory details. You can see for each pod. You can see CPU details for each pod and summary for them. So here, and details for each of them, and disks and networks the same. So it's proof of concept. Anything?
Nurlan, where are we getting those metrics? Are we running node exporter on each pod?
So right now we're running Victoria Metrics operator, which collects information from Kubernetes using cAdvisor.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So
and we also run node exporter in each node. So because we install PMM admin there, so PMM client there, which starts node exporter by default. But I think we should stop using node exporter in there.
And so previously and currently we are kind of mixing the pod and node metrics. So it looks like the database server running on a huge machine, not in the pod space. And that's the fixes there. Any questions to Nurlan on that? Then we're out of time, but have one item. So let's move to this item, and everyone we need to drop. I'll send the link to recording so you can watch this a little bit later. Sorry for the delay. And the last item left is the progress on the portal and the organization management stuff, which I think Nicola or Palash or Oksana.
It's going to be me. Hello, folks. So let me share my screen. Always hard to find the window. Should be this one. Yes. Okay. So not much since last time, but last time I showed I've shown you the mocked APIs. Now it's working with real APIs, but let's first create an org. Sorry, and I always try with these names. Okay, so you can invite members, but if you try to invite a member, we are using real APIs now, so the errors are real. So if I try to invite a member that it's not registered, you see I have an error because this member is already part of the organization. Same as if I try to invite myself, I have an error, but it's going to be okay if I invite an existing and registered member to the platform. Okay. So you will receive an email in this case saying that you've been invited to this organization. Then you can log in and you have a role in this organization. So one thing that we're missing is the list of members. There's work in progress, some technical work behind the scenes going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So to summarize, this invite member button will not be available for technical users, but only to org admins. You will be able to see the list. Okay, questions? No? Okay,
Oh,
then
looks
thank
like
you, everybody.
left, so does not have questions. Okay, thanks, Nicola. And I think that's all what we have for today.